Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a new diesel heater from HCalory. This is the Toolbox Compact 2S. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. Alright, and before I open this up, I do want you to know that it did come in two separate packages. One, I believe, is the wireless remote, which is new to me. And then the other is the actual diesel heater. Alright, so here's what you should expect when you open up your diesel heater. And it looks like it's, well, just the diesel heater wrapped in bubble wrap. So let's go ahead and pull it out. Alright, so we got the diesel heater, we have the diesel heater user's manual, and then we have a box that, I mean, it looks like it was already opened, but I think that's actually by design. Okay, so here are my impressions right out of the box. First of all, I do like that they have this big swivel handle right here. It is nice and easy to carry. You can use your whole hand while grabbing it. It does have two latches right here that you can use to open up the diesel heater itself. Inside the diesel heater, here is your standard wireless remote right here that comes with basically every diesel heater. And as you can tell, it does say off, on, and plus minus, probably for the temperature. If I press the button, I do notice that this light does not turn on. So I'm not sure if there are batteries inside. All right, looking inside the diesel heater, here you can see we have our data cable right here from the display on top. It goes to a connector right here. You can see our pump right here. This is our diesel pump. Here is the fuel tank right here. And then we have the diesel heater right here. Let's see, on top it does say Toolbox, and it does say please note the following before use. And there are 9 instructions right here. And then we have our display right here, which we will turn on as soon as we plug it in. And it does come with the ability to extend it out about, I don't know, probably 10 inches as of right now. Also on the front, you can see that this is the exhaust pipe right here for our exhaust. And it is just a pipe. It is not one that you actually screw into. So we'll be using some sort of clamp to clamp on the exhaust hose. Right off the bat, you can hear that. I don't like the fact that this is loose. I don't like how it's loose like that. All right, and you can see, let me turn it to the side a little bit. You can see that I can pull this 90-degree pipe. It is not tight at all. So that tells me right there that there could be exhaust fumes coming out from the gaps inside here. So just because of how loose this exhaust pipe is right here tells me that this unit should be sitting outside of the area that you want to heat up. This unit is not made to sit inside the area that you're trying to heat. It wants to be sitting outside. There's going to be a hose that's going to be connected to here, and this is your heat exchanger right here. There's going to be a hose, and that is what's going to be going to the inside to whatever you want to heat. And you can see on this side, this is the intake for the fresh air going into the heat exchanger. So if we look at the heat exchanger side again, where the heat is going to be pumped out, you can also see that there is a fuel gauge right here. It is a 5-liter tank. The back of the unit is absolutely nothing. It just has your hinges for the toolbox design. And again, on this side, this is where your intake for your heat exchanger and your power cord is going to be going right here. Sorry, I felt like I kind of stumbled through that, but I was very surprised that that exhaust pipe was actually pretty loose. Anyway, let's go ahead and take some measurements of this and get its weight. From the edge of the outport to the other side is roughly 16.5 inches. From the floor to the top of the handle is roughly 14.5 inches. If you have the handle down, you're looking at a little under 13 inches. And then the depth of this unit is going to be roughly 10.5 inches. Now that does not include the exhaust pipe that is going to be on there. All right, let's go ahead and open up the accessories box. All right, and in the accessories box, you're going to have your muffler / silencer. You will have your exhaust pipe right here. And your muffler is going to be connecting on here, and the rest of it's going to be connecting to that 90-degree pipe. We also have a positive and negative 12-volt battery connection right here, and it will go to the plug that's on the other side of the unit. This is your standard hose for the out port of your heat exchanger, and honestly, this is very short. I mean, this is only right out of the box, it's right at 9 inches. So you're not going to be really stretching this thing like through a window or something. I feel like I'm going to break it as soon as I bend it. So you'll want, honestly, to purchase another one of these. And when you do that, you're going to want to get something that's right around 3 inches. We also have the end port. It looks like we also have an extension cable for the display unit on top. So if this is going to be outside, you can actually mount your display on the inside with this extension cable right here, which is a nice little feature. You also have a variety of pipe clamps and exhaust clips, so that way you can permanently mount your exhaust. And then here is a box that says US, and I'm guessing that this, yes, this is the AC adapter, which is very nice to see. I like the fact that you're not stuck with only connecting this to a 12-volt battery or somehow modifying it so it might work with your power station. With this, you can plug it right into your AC receptacle, either in your house or, or on your power station. These things only take up about 120 watts at peak, so really any small power station can run this. And then last but not least, there is the wireless remote. It looks like it is rechargeable because there's a 5-volt input right here. It's a USB-C. And I do see a CO port right here. So this actually looks like it's a remote for the unit and also a CO monitor. There's a little keychain clip right here, and here is the on-off button right here. All right, so I went ahead and opened up the manual because I wanted to know a little bit more about this wireless remote. And this manual that it comes with, this big thick one with like 10 different languages, it doesn't say anything about this wireless remote. So this remote must be something that's kind of compatible with different units. But inside the box with the remote, there was this little card right here that says to download the electronic manual, you need to click on that QR code right there. So I'll be doing that in a little bit. But also looking at this manual, I am not impressed with this manual whatsoever. First of all, the first page, the first English page that you look at, if you can read the words, do you notice anything weird about that? Or about that? Or about that? There's no spaces. It's all one giant word. I mean, it's not a giant word, but there's no spaces in between the words. So it makes it a little difficult to read. And it's only on these front pages right here. And also this picture right here, it shows that there is the hot air exhaust, or the hot air port right here, which is correct. And it shows the hot exhaust coming out right here. But then it also shows the cold air exhaust intake pipe right here. And this unit does not have anything like that. So that picture definitely isn't what this unit really is, I guess you could say. But for the most part, you get the general idea, but that exhaust intake pipe is not part of this unit. But everything else in the manual reads okay. Some things to point out though, some things that you really need to know if this is going to be your first diesel heater and this is your first video. You need to know that, first of all, this exhaust pipe, once this thing's up and running, this thing gets extremely hot. So don't put it like on the bed of your truck or something like that, because it will melt anything. It'll melt any rubber or plastic, and it will catch wood on fire. So keep that in mind. Also, when you're shutting this thing down, make sure and shut it down by turning off the unit and letting it cycle down. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes for this thing to shut off. You don't want to just unplug it, because that will make it get all gunked up on the inside, and it will not run very well, if at all, after that. Some of the testing I'm going to do is going to be how loud this thing is. Every diesel heater I've ever owned has got that tick. And everyone says, I would love to have a diesel heater that doesn't have a tick. So we're going to hear if this has a tick, and if it does at the beginning and while it's on full blast. Secondly, we're going to see how long it takes to heat up to full blast, so the heat won't go any higher. I've heard that it can only take about 3 to 5 minutes, but I want to test that. And then also, lastly, we're going to test to see how much heat is actually coming out of this unit. Okay, hi, how you doing? I have got the diesel heater set up right here in my garage with my garage door open about 10 inches. I have the exhaust blowing out towards the outside, so hopefully we don't catch any of those CO fumes. I do have a CO monitor connected to the Blue Eddy EB3A just in case. And I also do plan on pairing this remote up as well to see, just to have a secondary CO monitoring source. But we're going to go ahead and plug this thing in. The display should turn on, and I kind of read a little bit on how to pair this up, so we'll do that first. And when you first plug it in, this is what you'll see right here. It says P13 volts, which is the voltage of the input, and it does say that it is 20 and 46 o'clock, which is not correct. It's actually 6:10 p.m. It does say air heater, and it does show the altitude, which this actually has automatic altitude, so it will automatically adjust depending on your altitude. All right, well, I went ahead and paired up this wireless remote right here. I believe all you had to do was just hold down the down arrow and the power button at the same time while the unit's off, and it will go into its pairing mode, and it will try to it will ask you which remote you want to pair. Since the remote that came with it, I was guessing it was number 1 already, so I went ahead and just selected up and selected number 2. And then I just pressed the button on this remote and it paired it right up. So not that big of a deal. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and set up a timer. I'm going to set up a thermal camera, and we are going to see how long it takes for this unit to go from a cold dead stop all the way to full heat. So let's go ahead and start that up now. All right, we're just about to begin, so let's go ahead and hit the power button. Set it up to H10. All right, as you can see, we're 10 seconds in, and the air blowing out of there is roughly 41 degrees Fahrenheit, because it's roughly 35 degrees in this garage right now, according to my little CO monitor over there. We'll also be kind of watching the pipe as well, the exhaust pipe, to see how fast it heats up. And right now it is blowing air, but it is cold air. Yeah, we're showing 40 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, we're about 1 minute in, and it is still very cold air blowing out of this vent, and it's a low. And I'm sure you can hear that, but that is a very audible tick. One of the things about this says that it is completely silent, but I don't think they mean that on the initial startup, which is the fuel pump trying to get fuel to the actual heat exchanger. All right, the air is starting to ramp up a little bit. It's blowing right on me. I hope it gets hot pretty soon. It's now 35 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that the fuel pump, there's fuel in the pump, it is getting very quiet. All right, we are now 3 minutes in, and the air blowing out is still very cold. It's still 35, 36 degrees. And it's blowing, as you can see, right on my legs. And yeah, I hope it starts to heat up pretty soon because I am freezing. I do have it on level 10. This unit does have a setting that you can go from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, the most heat that you're going to get out of it. All right, I'm starting to hear it kind of tick again. We are now almost at 4 minutes, and it is still very cold air blowing out of there. Okay, we are now at 5 minutes, and as you can see on the thermal camera, we're still at 39, 38 degrees Fahrenheit. So still cold air blowing out of this unit. The exhaust pipe is getting hotter, which is good. And now the air is starting to heat up. It's up to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Our clock is now at 6 minutes. And we're looking at 60 degrees. It should start really ramping up here pretty quickly. All right, we are now at 7 minutes, and we are looking at right around almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit coming out of this vent. You can see off to the left-hand side that the exhaust is right around 193 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, we are now at 8 minutes, and we are looking at about 133 degrees in that pipe, and I think it's still rising. And I must say, the air coming out of there feels very good. You can see the exhaust is over 200 degrees Fahrenheit now. That is what I was talking about when you don't want to set this on the bed of your truck or on a piece of wood, because that can start to catch stuff on fire or melt any kind of plastic. All right, we are at 9 minutes, and I believe this thing is as hot as it's going to get. We're looking at inside that pipe, we're looking at 158 to 160 degrees. If we take this pipe off and just show you the heat exchanger in there, that heat exchanger is 350 degrees. So that is right at the exchanger right there. So 350 degrees is coming out of there. And that is some very, very nice dry heat. All right, well, this thing's been running for about a half hour now. You know, they made a big deal that you would not be able to hear a tick from the fuel pump at all. But, you know, I'm 2 feet away, and I can easily hear a tick. And I'm sure my microphone can pick that up as well. And this is on high. And usually when they're on high, you don't hear anything. It's when they're on low is when you actually might be able to hear a tick. So I'm actually disappointed that I can actually hear that tick still. All right, and so now there's one more thing I want to talk about with this HCalory diesel heater. And that is the fact that it is Bluetooth compatible. And that is a very nice feature, at least for me. Let me go ahead and show you the app. So here we are looking at the app, and you can see right now that it says that it's on high heat 10. I think that's what HH stands for. I'm not really sure. You can see below that it shows the voltage at 13 volts. The height is 210 meters from sea level. The aluminum body is right around 446 degrees Fahrenheit, and the ambient temperature is 39 degrees in this room. And you can see that I have the remote right here, and on the app, if I put this remote in front of the heater, you can actually see the heat, the ambient temperature going up, because it sees the temperature of this remote, not of the unit itself. That's another huge feature of this remote. So let me put this remote in front of the heater, and you can easily see on the app it's at 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it's at 63. Now it's at 77. So just because of having this heater in front of it, it's tracking the heat of this. So this remote you'd want to have inside your tent or inside your RV, and have this unit outside, and you can still keep the temperature at a certain temp, because it's at heat level 10, but you can actually change this so it will keep a certain Fahrenheit temperature or Celsius temperature. And through the app, all you have to do is click on the mode change right here, and you can say that right now it's on gear. I can go ahead and click on temp, and now it shows it at 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's what it shows on this remote. And now it also shows it on the display as well. Oh, and I'm sorry, it says 61 degrees, but that's what the temperature is set for this unit. So you can just hit the plus and minus button to increase that to whatever you want. But we'll go ahead and just increase it to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And so a couple of other things about the app. You can also see that it shows a CO monitor from this remote. It shows it on the app. And it also has an auto start stop feature. So that means that if it gets up to temperature, the unit will basically shut itself down and then start itself back up to keep that temperature. Another thing about this Toolbox heater from HCalory, it does say that it is 28% more efficient than I'm guessing previous models. It doesn't really say it compares it to what, but that's going to be in another video where I'm going to compare running this with a different diesel heater to see which one actually runs longer at the same setting. So my takeaways from this HCalory Toolbox Compact 2S diesel heater, well, operationally wise, it does run very well. It's blowing out plenty of heat and it does the job which you would expect. I like the fact that it's very portable. All you gotta do is connect the exhaust pipe, and if you wanted to connect the outboard heat hose, you could. It was very easy to set up. It had no issues. I like that the display is a nice color display, and that it comes with its own wireless remote. That is actually very nice, along with being able to control it from your phone via Bluetooth. I think the one thing that I'm actually disappointed about with it though is that even on high, I can still hear the pump ticking away. It's not that loud, but you can definitely hear it. And I believe that was kind of one of the big selling points for this unit, was that the pump was literally silent. And unfortunately, in my instance, that's not the case. And I guess I really never looked at it at all, but the EB3A has been powering this unit via the AC just fine. It started at 100%, it's now at 78%, and I've been running this unit for well over an hour. So probably about 20% per hour is what it's going to take from a Blue Eddy EB3A. And it is currently using 52 watts on its highest setting. So after the initial startup, which takes up to about 120 watts, if you're going to have it on your highest setting, you can expect it to take about 50 to 55 watts. So if you have any questions about the HCalory Toolbox Compact 2S diesel heater, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to this item in my description, just in case you want to look further into it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have a great day. Bye-bye.